Hey, 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 everybody! I'm Drogan Rivera, and welcome back to What If Deku Was the God of Thunder. I'm happy. I'm happy because last video blew up. Well, to me, it blew up because I got subscribers. I now have a total of 4 subscribers, which is 4 more than I thought I'd ever get. So, I just want to say I love you guys. Thank you for the support. And let's just get this over with and go in. And by the way, last time I said the chip was Deku X Ochako, but I'm actually going to change it up a tiny bit. Since Deku's a god, I mean, it's pretty common to gods to have like, you know, multiple girls. That's right, Deku's getting a harem in this one. So he's gonna have a little bit of fun. Alright, so where we last left off, Deku, he found out about his powers. He met Alvi, or Alv, the goddess, which is actually the goddess of time. I forgot to mention that last time. And Atreus, not Atreus, because I know I accidentally named him after the kid in God of War. My bad. Atreus, God. But Atreus, which is the god of the hunt. Again, just like, actually, no, I think Atreus is, and the god of war is actually like the god of mischief, kind of like Loki. I don't know, anyways, last time he got his weapons from Black Cup, which are actually based off of Hercules' gauntlets, the lion gauntlets, and Deku also got accepted into UA. So when we get there, Deku is leaving for UA to go to school. His mom stops him before he leaves and says, "Izuku, I'm so proud of you. Now that you finally have a quirk, you can finally achieve your dream." And it's all sentimental crap, and Deku starts tearing up a bit and says, "Don't worry, Mom. I'll be a hero. I promise." Picks up his bag, and leaves. Deku arrives at UA and is kind of lost. He runs around the halls saying, 1A, 1A, class 1A. And he finally finds it to see a giant door. Am I taking classes with a giant? He opens up the door and sees Ida and Bakugo arguing. "You shouldn't have your feet up on the desk like that. You're disgracing the school and our upperclassmen." Bakugo kind of gets ticked off by this. Huh? Did your previous school put a stick up your ass or something? My word, are you even in the right class? You know what? Let's just start over. I'm Tenya Ida from enter a rich school name here. Oh, so you think you're better than me just because you're from some rich boy school? God, my throat hurts. No, it isn't like that. Not at all. As then Ida stops and sees Midoriya standing in the doorway. Then says, "It's you." Everyone then stares at Midoriya, including Bakugo, who is just ticked off. That quirkless asshole's here. And by the way, in this what if, Aoyama didn't get into class 1A for reasons, but instead he's in class 1B and he's replaced by Yabara, who, by the way, just saying, is very religious. So you're probably gonna see what I'm gonna do here. So Yama's replaced with Yabara in class 1A, but everyone's about the same. So Ida then walks up to Midoriya saying, "You're the one with the electricity quirk from the entrance exams, correct?" When Kaminari hears this, he's like, "Oh, you have an electrical quirk too, like me? That's awesome, man." Ida says, "Well, I think it's more diverse than yours. Kaminari, was it? Denki then says, yeah. But if it isn't, that's really cool. I'm Denki Kaminari. Nice to meet you. Deku then says, oh, I'm Izuku Midoriya. It's nice to meet you too. Ida then introduces himself as well. I'm Tenya Ida. It's a pleasure to meet you too. You knew about the rescue points, didn't you? I saw you save a couple people in the entrance exams from the robots. Did you know about it? Izuku then says, no, I just saw they were in trouble and I just, helped out. Ida says, oh, so you're a hero by heart. Then you're definitely a better hero than I am. Aizawa then bows, and Izuku then says, it's not like that. Then he's interrupted by a girl behind him saying, hey, I recognize that green hair. Izuku then turns around to see Ochako. She says, you're the electric boy, right? Man, your quirk is really cool, especially with the thunderclouds and stuff. Bakugo is really pissed at this statement. Like, the hell are you guys talking about? He's fucking quirkless. They all stare at Bakugo. And says, I'm sure you're mistaken. Izuku definitely does have a quirk. I mean, multiple people have saw it. Izuku was about to speak, then stops because he feels iffy. Like, strange. Feels like a dark presence in the room. Then he looks out in the hallway behind Ochako to see a man in a yellow sleeping bag, sipping on what seems to be apple juice. Says, you guys are way too loud. As everyone then stares at the man in the sleeping bag. The man then gets up and says, took you 8 seconds to shut up. That won't do. I'm Shoto Aizawa. I'm your teacher. He then reaches into the bag and pulls out what seems to be gym clothes. Put these on and meet me outside. Ochako then speaks up. But what about... Aizawa then interrupts him. I don't give a damn about the entrance ceremonies. If you're gonna be a hero, stuff like that isn't gonna be necessary. You shouldn't really even care. We have 3 years to make you guys the best heroes you can be. So stuff like that is just gonna get in our way. As then everybody goes into the bathrooms and change. When Deku takes off his shirt, everybody stares at him, seeing how muscular he is. Kirishima says, whoa, what type of training did you have to do to get that bod? Izuku then says, oh, well, you heard of Dagobah Beach, right? Koda then says, isn't that the one with all the trash? Then Shoji? Is that the one with the 8 arms? Or the 8 arms guys then says, no, somebody picked it up, I think. Kamen Rider then speaks up, wait, was that you? Izuku then speaks up, yeah, it was training. I picked it all up by myself. They're all in disbelief. That much trash? I'm pretty sure I saw a car in there. There's no way. They're all in disbelief by this. Eden says, well, he must have used his quirk. They all look at him, and Midori actually says, well, actually, the only time I used my quirk was actually for the truck. Everything else I did by hand. They all just stare at him, and some of them are even, scared of him. Like Mineta and, the lesser boys. And then we go to where they're all outside for the quirk assessment. Aizawa then explains, alright, so what we're gonna do is everybody's gonna use their quirks to just pass certain tests. Everybody gets excited because they're going to use their quirks. Aizawa gets ticked off and gives them a challenge. Person in last place gets expelled. Everybody's in disbelief. But Momo and Midoriya think he's obviously testing us. He's lying to us, so we'll all do our best. Then we skip to... No, not skip to, but then Aizawa hands Midoriya a softball. Midoriya, you got the highest record in all time, apparently, in the entrance exam. Everybody stares at him saying, wait, he broke the record? Who was the previous record holder? I think it was All Might. No way, he broke All Might's record? That's crazy. And then Bakugo hears this and gets even more pissed. What the hell? They're surely mistaken. He must have cheated or some shit. As Deku then takes the ball and then goes over to try and throw it. Izuku then focuses. He focuses on his right hand, thinking, throw the ball. As he reaches back, and then his hand starts to glow as his gauntlet appears. And then he throws it, sending a tremendous shockwave which shatters the earth beneath him, making a small crater. Wind pressure goes around everybody. Some of the windows even crack. Then Aizawa looks at his phone, which says infinite. He points it to the kids, and all of them are in disbelief. One of them says, how do you get infinite? Then Aizawa says, well, scratches his head, and also disbelief, says, must have threw it out of the atmosphere. Everybody out loud says, what? He actually got it out into space? Chaku then says, I mean, out of everybody, I thought only I could do that. I mean, with my quirk. And then everybody else goes for it, and the only person that would actually tie with Izuku was obviously Ochako. Everything goes as canon except Izuku being first and Mineta being dead last. Mineta is scared, and then Aizawa says, well, Mineta, you're expelled. All of you go to the training room, and after that, Mineta, go meet me at the principal's office. Momo and Deku said, wait, you're actually expelling us? Momo then says, I thought it was a lie to make us do our best. Aizawa says, no, I take this stuff seriously. I don't lie. Well, I did lie a little bit. They all look at him. He says, I'm not expelling him. I'm just transferring him to Class 1B. They all take a sigh of relief, as Mineta is now replaced with, what's that one? Kendo, that's her name. Is now replaced by Kendo. But in the changing room when they're changing, Mineta points out a hole, and he's about to peep on the girls. When Deku sees this, he's kind of ticks off and kicks Mineta to the opposite side of the wall. It says, listen here, pervert. I don't give a damn what you do. But bends down, picks Mineta up, pushes up against the wall. His eyes begin to glow. When you disturb people like that, it ticks me off. You're being a real nuisance. As Mineta sees his eyes glow, and then instantly passes out while pissing his pants. Guys are now terrified of him. Bakugo is in disbelief. He thinks, how the hell did this quirkless asshole get a quirk? And how the hell is he so strong? He clenches his fist and disses it off. This timeline or whatever, Bakugo's a little bit more modest because he has fought Deku before, and Deku has won because of his, strength as a child. So he's a little bit more modest, at least. He's less of an asshole. And before Deku leaves, he goes over to the hole and then crushes it, making it to where nobody can see it through it. And Jiro hears everything. The girls ask, well, did Mineta stop? Deku then says, Izuku stopped him. As all the girls blush. Thinking, wow, Izuku's nice. And then they all leave, and it's the next day. We skip past the part where Deku does actually take pride into being the class representative, and instead of Ida jumping up and saying that's depressed, it's actually Midoriya. He sees that's depressed, and he just literally just jumps up against the roof and sprints towards the By the way, Deku somehow learned how to fly because he literally woke up and he was just floating. So he learned how to fly. He can now fly. Deku flew up to the exit and said, "Everybody, calm down!" As everyone's panic stops, and he says, "It's just a press. There's no villain attack. So please calm down, get back to your classes, so nobody can worry, alright? We're UA students. We shouldn't be acting like children." Everybody calms down. And now he just solidified his role as a class representative. Now, we go on to the USJ. Deku lines everybody up to the bus while he's sitting next to Asui and Jiro with Ida in front of him, who is with Ida in front of him. And everybody sits about the same. They all start talking about everybody's quirks, and Asui says, Izuku, your quirk's really strange. Oh, wait. Oh, crap. Hold on. You know what? Forget everything I said. I totally forgot about the heroes versus villains. Dumb me. Anyways, it's the day of the hero versus villains, and Izuku's Zero Suit is actually the Lion Gauntlets with his regular suit, but instead of green and black, the green is actually white and the black is green. And he does still have his red tennis shoes, but not with, like, how do I put this? Take away the utility belt. He still has his red tennis shoes. The green is now white, and the black is now green. And he doesn't have his a mask and the everything. He just doesn't have the mask. Instead, he has the white hood, which is laced with green stitching. Stitching, that's the word I was looking for. And he has a little medallion or a crest on his chest, like kind of hovering his heart, which is a thunderbolt. When they see this, Ibarra points out, says, you kind of resemble Zeus in a way. Deku hears this and says, I guess I do. As then, the teams are selected, with, instead of it being Izuku and Ochako, it's Izuku and Jiro. This time, Izuku and Jiro are actually the villains, so they're inside. Bakugo and Ida are coming from the front. Jiro and Izuku talk together, and when it's time, they talk and try and make up a plan, which they do. Izuku then goes down and starts destroying walls in all the floors except for the walls that the bomb has. And then he destroys the stairs. Flying up, says, "Okay, we're good. They shouldn't have a really good way to get up here." Then Jiro uses her quirk to use the walls and tries to hear them. She hears explosions, which is Bakugo using his explosions to hover up, getting back up to the floor. And Ida, just using his engines, just boosts himself up, like wall jumping and stuff. Against the walls that are there. Which their plan didn't really work. But now they're funneled with only one way in. But the bomb, instead of just in the middle of the room, is actually in a corner. So now they have more space to fight. Bakugo busts through the door with an explosion and chases right after Midoriya, saying, "Come here, you damn nerd!" As then he sends an explosion right into Midoriya's face. It didn't affect Izuku that much, but it did blind him a little bit. Izuku then goes for a punch, which Bakugo isn't there, and he's on his other side, making another explosion. Izuku then turns around, doing a roundhouse kick right to Bakugo's face, knocking him to the side. Deku says, "Listen here, Kachan. I'm not the person you think I am anymore. I'm not gonna be your punching bag," as Deku's eyes begin to glow once more. "I'm going to fight you and win." And when he says this, his voice is slightly distorted, which kind of freaks Ida, Bakugo, and Jiro out. Jiro and Ida are fighting, with Ida on the offensive and Jiro on the defensive, which Jiro is kind of losing. Deku is still currently fighting Bakugo, and they're pretty much equaled out. And while they're fighting, Bakugo and Midoriya accidentally fall through the floor, going down to the second floor, while the bomb is up on the 5th. Ida and Jiro are still battling it out themselves, while Bakugo and Izuku are still in their fight. Bakugo then says, "You seriously think these gauntlets are for show?" As then he begins to try and pull the pin. All Might sees this and says, "Young Bakugo, don't do that, you'll kill him." Bakugo then says, "Not if he dodges." As then he pulls the pin, and it hits Izuku directly, knocking him back to a wall. They're all worried. Bakugo sees this and he kind of freaks out a bit. "Shit, I thought he'd actually dodge." He runs over to Midoriya, as then the building starts to shake a bit. But Midoriya gets up and he's unscathed. Bakugo's confused, as the next thing you know, Midoriya is one place, then the other, then the other. It looks like he's teleporting. It's almost like there's multiple of them. His eyes are closed and he's just standing there, his head down and his arms dangling in front of him. It looks like he's teleporting, but he's actually moving so fast that the eye can't even see it. But All Might can kind of see it. "He's fast. I didn't know he was this fast." All Might does know a lot about Deku, but he doesn't know he's a god. He just does know that he has a lot of power. He does know about his burst mode, and if that ever happens and he almost kills somebody, that All Might needs to stop him. And All Might is most likely gonna give one for all to Izuku, which is actually gonna mutate, and I'll just tell you when he gets it. So now Izuku is in a slight burst mode. It's not 100%, but it's a small burst mode. Then, Izuku grabs Bakugo by the throat. He looks up at him with his eyes glowing bright green. It says, "Bakugo Katsuki." His voice even more distorted. Bakugo tries to get out of his grasp, exploding him, but it does nothing. It says, "You are really a pain in my ass." As then Midoriya cocks up a punch. And then, for Bakugo, everything just goes black. And he hears a faint, "Villain team wins!" Bakugo then wakes up in Recovery Girl's office. He then asks the Recovery Girl, "Oi, what the hell happened?" She says, "First off, profanity. Watch it, please. And second, you got your, as the kids say, butt rocked. You were instantly knocked out." Bakugo remembers what happens and thinks, "Damn, he actually got a quirk. Is this strong?" He gets super angry. He gets up and tries to storm off, but he's super drained and he kind of falls down. Recovery Girl then sets him up back on the bed, gives him a little bit of candy, and says, "Please calm down. Sit here and recover a bit, and then I'll let you leave to go home." Whatever. Bakugo then rests a little bit, goes home. Midoriya, after beating Bakugo, wakes back up from his tiny burst mode, seeing that he knocked out Bakugo, then flew up back to Jiro, who is almost starting to lose, and Ida then sprints for the bomb, which then Midoriya shocks Ida a bit in the legs, which kind of malfunctions in his engines, and they just go just a little bit of puff of smoke comes out, and then Ida falls on his face. And then time ran out, and villains win. Then everybody's like, "Whoa, they win?" Then Tokuyami speaked up and said, "Imagine him actually as a villain." They all look at Tokuyami with kind of a worried face, and they all think, "Izuku as a villain?" They try and imagine it, and the girls can't really imagine him as a villain, but the guys, they're instantly just terrified of Izuku, like, yeah, we don't want to mess with him. So then, all the fights happen, as regularly, and then it's the next day, which is the USJ. They're all on the bus, and if you remember what I said earlier about what happened on the USJ, then that's what happens. And Asui then asked Midoriya, "Your quirk is kind of weird. What exactly is it?" Izuku then thinks, "Crap, I never really named my quirk." Then thinks, and then says, it's, Bakugo then says, "Thunder God." Izuku then looks over at Bakugo as he says, "His quirk is called Thunder God. He always bragged about it." Izuku's really confused, thinking, why did he help him? Sorry, thought it stopped recording for a bit. Right, everything go back to what it was. Right. As then, Deku explains that he has flight, super strength, super speed, super durability. And when Kaminari speaks up, he says, well, I never really see you use your flight that much. Deku then says, well, my flight isn't really the best. I can only fly in the air for about like a minute at a time. After that, I had to rest a bit. I kind of suck at it. I had to really give it my all. So I guess I need to train for that. Then Kirishima asks, what's up with the gauntlets? They look awesome. As Deku then looks at his gauntlets and he says, oh, these were a gift from my... Then thinks about Black Up and says, distant uncle. Black Up is actually... By the way, the gods always watch over Deku. And Black Up kind of blushes a bit like, distant uncle. He thinks me as an uncle. As Alvi and Atreus kind of giggle, thinking, you Cindere. Black Up then says, shut up, you two! Then they arrive at the USJ, and Deku has this off feeling. He then walks over to Aizawa and says, how many people are in there? Aizawa then says, I think there should be 2 All Mights and 13. Deku then says, well, I think there might be more than that. Aizawa looks at him and asks, what do you mean? I just sense something's in there. Aizawa then says, you're just being paranoid. Just go ahead and get this over with. Come on. So Deku still has his paranoid this feeling in his gut, telling him something's wrong, but then he disses it himself. When they get inside, they see 13, but no All Might. As Izuku sees 13 hold up 3 fingers, he knows what she's talking about. Is 13 a guy or a gal? Like, I know 13 most likely is a gal, but part of me thinks he's a guy at the same time for some reason. Anyways, we continue, and then the portal where the villains come out open up. Villains start pouring out into the USJ. Izuku said, told you, straight to Aizawa, which actually kind of pisses Aizawa off and actually surprises Izuku himself. Like, wait, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that out loud. Which lately Izuku has been getting a lot more confidence. Then they all get teleported. Everything goes just as canon. Ida escapes to get the heroes. And when Izuku falls into the water zone, he is saved by Asui. They do get on the boat with Kendo. No, wait, not Kendo, Ibarra this time. So now, Ibarra, Asui, and Deku start to think of a plan. As then Ibarra is scared and tries to whip one of the villains who are trying to get on the boat. They're all kind of back up. Deku thinks, wait, they don't know our quirks. Then he provides a plan, where Izuku electrocutes the water to enough voltage to where nobody's hurt, to where the villains aren't like, electrocuted to death, but to where they're just knocked out. And then Asui is supposed to jump, grab the 2 of them, and Abara, as they're being grabbed, Abara uses her vines to push everybody, kind of like a catapult. Not really a catapult, but like they're jumping off the boat. And they're sent off the boat. Most of the water villains are passed out due to the electrocution, and they end up at the shore of the water zone. Everything with Aizawa happens. They see him get his ass beat, and what's her name? Shigaraki then goes over to Asui to try and attack her. Before he can get that close, Izuku gets pissed and zips in front of her trying to save her. And he reaches out his own hand, shocks, and electrocutes Shigaraki. He sent back a little bit and says, "Damn it. Nomu, kill this one." As the Nomu then just appears beside Izuku and gives him the almighty bitch slap, sending him all the way to the other side of the USJ. The girls then scream out, "Izuku!" as then he's sent to the wall. Izuku hears a voice saying, "Midoriya." He wakes up, sees a man with a bright light behind him. His clothes looks a lot like his own. And he sees a medallion with a thunderbolt on it, just like his. He thinks, is that? The man then speaks, "I am the previous god of thunder. You mustn't die like this. You must give it your all. Show them what a god really is." Zuko says, How am I supposed to do that? If I lose control and my strength, I could hurt somebody."
"That is impossible. You can hurt people, but only those who deserve it. To those who don't deserve to be harmed are healed instead by your lightning."
And then he remembers the time that he accidentally electrocuted some of his friends who are actually healed. He also remembered the time where he first discovered his electricity, and it shocked All Might, who did get healed. And then says, "But what if I'm not strong enough?" The man says,
"Well, do you know how us gods get stronger?"
Zuko looks up and says, "Well, I'm asking you. I'm literally just asking you." The man says,
"Belief."
Zuko just gives him a face like, "Do I have to believe that I can get stronger?"
The man says, "No, you have to make others believe in you. You have to get followers to your cause."
"My cause?"
"You have to have worshippers, people who see you as their god. You are a god, so be their god. Command them and punish them for their sins."
As then, to everyone else, they think Izuku's dead. But then, as the Nomu is about to attack the girls, the earth starts to rumble. Thunderstorms start to form, which are way bigger than usual. The animals around start going crazy. Nezu is already on his way. And before Ida gets into his office, Nezu starts getting the feeling again. He crunches up into a ball in front of All Might. All Might says, "What's wrong?" Nezu then says, Something's wrong. Izuku again." As then he remembers this happened again when Izuku went into burst mode. As then Ida busts through the door saying, "Villains are attacking the USJ!" As then they get ready and leave.
as Midnight actually stays behind with Nezu to comfort him. Izuku gets up, thunder pouring out of him. Big bolts of lightning are shooting out of him, striking people within the USJ. Everywhere. But mostly villains are getting struck. Kaminari does get struck by one of these bolts, and he wakes up perfectly fine. Beforehand, he was actually shorted out in his, yay mode. But when he got struck, he was perfectly fine. All his wounds were healed. He was just all good. As then, they all turn to see Midoriya. They see this. A pure ball or man full of energy spewing out. The earth starts to even crack a bit as it continues shaking. Thunder and lightning strikes the USJ, making the roof sort of collapse, but there was barely any rubble because all of it was burned away by the thunder. Izuku starts walking towards the Nomu, and as he sets his foot onto the ground, all they hear is a shockwave. And then Izuku starts bouncing everywhere. Across the USJ, into the miniature domes, even. Everywhere, all they see is a flash of green. And villains start just being instantly knocked out. They sense all this power from Izuku. As then, he instantly appears in front of the Nomu. As he says, "You will bow." As then, a thunderbolt strikes the Nomu. The Nomu starts shrinking. As then, he looks like a normal man. Shigaraki then says, How did you revert him from a Nomu back to human?" The man is bowing and his eyes are glowing a bit. The man says, "I am yours to command, God of Thunder." Abara hears this. Everybody hears this. Izuku has the markings all over his body. He looks at everyone, and they just get a sense of fear. They're all terrified, but Abara is just attracted. She's memorized. She thinks, is he a god? As then, Izuku gets his first worshipper. His first believer, which is Abara. As then, Izuku looks over to Shigaraki. As Shigaraki then yells at Kodagiri, saying, "Kodagiri, get us out of here!" As Kodagiri opens up a portal, and they escape. Then a bunch more villains, a big cloud of them saying, "Oi, freak show!" As Izuku looks over, all of them instantly get terrified. And then Izuku runs circles around the crowd, literally circles. Starts getting faster and faster. As thunder starts hitting Izuku over and over again in an endless stream. As the heroes do appear, and all everybody sees is a giant tornado of green thunder striking everything and everyone. Heals Aizawa in 13, heals all the students, knocking out most villains, and even goes outside the USJ, into the streets. One of the lightning bolts hits a hospital, healing most of the patients. A robbery was going on, and all the robbers were struck and got knocked out. And on the ground beside the robbers was a lightning bolt, glowing green. Multiple crimes were stopped, and the crime rates literally dropped to almost zero, with the green thunderbolt right beside it, marking them.
As then, the thunder stops, the clouds dissipate, the earth stops rumbling. There wasn't any injuries afterwards. They all see what happened. They're all terrified of Izuku now. They literally think of him as a monster. But Ibara sees him as a god. And a couple others do. A couple of the villains now even the villains see Izuku as a god now. As when they're being hauled, they start mumbling, slightly going crazy as to what they saw. When they're, being hauled by the police officers. Izuku was actually passed out, and some of the markings were actually burned into his arms, making somewhat permanent tattoos. When Inko heard what happened to Izuku, she was terrified, but then they said that he practically took down all the villains by themselves. The news on about this day and called it Green Day, as there was a bunch of green lightning shocking everybody. A bunch of villains got taken down, and some hospitals around the city, all the patients were healed. Tumors, cancers, everything. Hell, there was even one guy, there was even twins who were segregated, they're like connected. They got separated instantly. Completely fine. One man was missing an arm, and it grew back. People heard what the cause was, and it was Izuku Midoriya's quirk. Somehow it got out to the press and made public, and people started believing him even more. More people somehow saw him as a god. His belief spread across the world. Well, not the world, but around the town and somewhat into Japan, as the name of Izuku Midoriya goes around everywhere. And that's where I'm going to leave it off. I kind of feel what-ify about the part I just did. I kind of feel bad because, I don't know. But hopefully this blows up again like the last one did. And thank you so much for the subscribers and the likes and the views. Love you guys. If you guys like this one, like it. If you want to see more, subscribe. Next two videos are going to be Zombie Deku. So get ready for that. And if you guys do want to see more what ifs, comment down below what you want to see. I already have ideas on 2 other ones, which I'm really, really excited about. So see you guys later, and bye-bye.